Hey guys, today I wanted to learn how to improve my line art by studying various different forms of line art. And I thought I'd show you how I do this. For this exercise, you'll need a sketchbook, a set of fine liners, an eraser, a kneaded eraser, and a pencil. A great place to start would be studying the work of Akira Toriyama, mangaka behind Dragon Ball. Now, Dragon Ball has three, arguably four distinct styles of line art throughout the years. The original Dragon Ball manga, which included Dragon Ball Z, ran from 1984 to 1995. That's 11 years, so naturally your art style evolves and grows over time. Something I'm taking into consideration when doing these line art studies is the reason behind the line work itself specifically. What do I mean by that? In this case, Shonen Jump manga comes out weekly, so you have to be quick and distinct with how you do your line work. You can see how this thought process evolved Toriyama's art style as he went on throughout the years. For the sake of this exercise, I'm going to walk you through three different distinct styles of Goku over the years. Starting with early Dragon Ball, you can see there's a bit more variation in line weight. Proportions, although exaggerated, are a bit more close to real life. There's more evidence of hatching to show shading, and a bit more of a rounded look to the eyes specifically. So what I've initially done is I've gone over the entire drawing with a 0.3 fine liner, just to give us a basic outline. I'm then coming in with a black brush pen, just to color in the hair that black, distinct color Goku has. I then come in with a 0.5 fine liner to add in the fine details and the hatching. I then go in with a bulkier fine liner like a 0.8 to thicken the lines and give that varied line weight I was talking about earlier. This also helps to neaten up the line work as a whole. Toriyama's next unique style evolution comes in around the Android or Cell Saga. This is when that emphasis of speed becomes really noticeable. The line weight is nowhere near as varied and is more concise. However, the tidiness of the artwork doesn't suffer due to the practice Toriyama has had at this point. The presence of hatching for shading is almost entirely gone and is left almost exclusively to convey battle damage. A fun fact is that Toriyama initially introduced the form of Super Saiyan to actually lighten his workload in terms of inking the manga. So the hair turned into a blonde white color, so he didn't have to color it in fully black. The head shape has become almost completely rounded and fits into a circle. Even though this isn't anatomically correct, it brings it close to that distinct Dragon Ball style I think we all associate it with. The musculature has become harder and almost more defined, emphasizing the strength and development of the characters throughout the story. Shapes have become more angular and sharp, giving it an edge to the series, emphasizing the distinct direction the show is going in terms of action instead of a focus on adventure. So what does this mean in terms of line art? Line weight is less varied with a thick outline. I stuck to the 0.3 fine liner, while filling in some of the finer details on the face with a 0.1 fine liner. The third distinct style I'm focusing on is that of the Buu Saga, where you can see Toriyama has really come into his own and perfected the Dragon Ball style. This is a style I think we most associate with the series. This is also my personal favorite style of Toriyama's. Gone are the days of his early work where everything is rounded, everything is now sharp and angular. Every single muscle is distinctly defined with its own unique line. Line work is a lot thinner, and everything about the design is focused around turning out work as quickly as possible. The style of line art here is almost sketchy, it's less smooth and fluid, everything is a straight line. As in the previous drawing, I'm using a 0.3 for the outline, while using a 0.05 for the finer details on the face, as well as the sketchy tattered lines showing battle damage and torn clothing. Hopefully this shows you that the need for precision and speed can influence one's art style over time. Now let's dive into the Western counterpart, comic book illustration. Likewise, there is often a deadline, but it's nowhere near as stringent. Comic books often come out on a monthly basis, therefore giving artists more time to develop their own personal style. This is where line weight plays a massive factor, so things in the foreground will be thicker outlined than those in the background. Finer details will be done with a finer liner. So in this example, Invincible's face will be done in a 0.3 fine liner, his fist in a 0.8, and his shoulder that's further back in a 0.1. Another thing that's par for the course is things that are normally black in the comic book are colored in by the inker. This will often save the colorist time. The last style of line art I want to look at is that of the brand new Disney Plus show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This show is heavily inspired by the artwork of Steve Ditko from the 60s. But we must take into consideration that this is a show designed to be animated. Therefore, the art style is simplistic by nature. Outlines will almost always be thick and bold, giving you a distinct space of where the character will move. So unlike comics, I'm going to use a 0.8 almost all the way around. There's very few details on the face because they will be constantly changing and will be a pain to animate. There's very little color used, generally only 1 or 2 tones. Therefore, line art will be concise and strict, because any little mistake will be noticed and cannot be hidden by the colorist. The biggest takeaway I can give you from this exercise is do not be afraid to do multiple passes with your line work. We often think that we have to do it in one clean swoop, and this is nearly impossible. It seems almost counterintuitive, but the more passes you do, the smoother your line art looks. Line art often makes or breaks a drawing, especially when it comes to heavy illustration styles. And it doesn't merely stop at just doing the outline. You often fill in the space and save the colorist's time where there is black space. Line weight can give you a great sense of depth before the colorist even comes in and shades anything. Thin hatching lines can show texture, it can show depth, it can show shadows. In the professional illustrative world, oftentimes the sense of depth is left up to the line art. Therefore, the ink is often the undersung hero of the overall art piece. One of the best ways to improve your artwork overall is to improve your line art. I hope this exploration has helped you as much as it's helped me and will help you develop your art further. And as always, give your local P&A a visit for all your art needs.